to the video presentation group. First of all, I'm Taura Satyawanadri as a representative of Group 5 Chemical Engineering class of 2025. In this video, I will present about Unit 9 on agreements and its subunits, namely proposals, definitions, and construct, followed by Unit 10 on testing and its subunits, namely plans, reports, and methods. Just a brief introduction to the presentation that we will present. I hope you enjoy this video presentation from our group. Thank you all.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello everyone, good morning.
Morning.
How's your meeting today? You all good or not?
Good.
Thank you for being here today. It's really an honor for the opportunity to presentation in front of you. Once again, thank you. So before I start my presentation, let my group introduce themselves first. The first one was myself. My name is Taura Satyawanadri, and this is my good friends.
My name is Nela Destina Ferdinand. My name is Yustian Putra.
So now we go to start our presentation. So in this slide, you can see what is the title of our presentation. It's about Unit 9 and the Unit 10. For the Unit 9, we call agreements, and the Unit 10 we call testing. So in the next slide, we have table of contents. For the Unit 9 and the Unit 10 have three contents. For the Unit 9, the first we have proposals, and the grammar use is about known clause. The second we have about definitions, and the grammar use is about defining relative clause. And the last we have contracts, and the grammar use is about if clause. For the Unit 10 testing, the first we have plans, and the grammar use is nouns and hyphenated phrases used as pre-modifiers, and the second we have about reports, and the last we have about methods. So now we go to the first content. I will explain about this content proposal. What is
Nih, tar dulu. Pause dulu. Satu, go.
in the next slide we have about the first content is about proposal. I will explain you about the proposal. What is a proposal? In wireless control, a proposal is a form of plan or idea that explains how a wireless control system will be designed, developed, and implemented to manage devices or processes without physical or wired connection. For the example, first we have light sensor, the second we have motion sensor, and the last we have smoke sensor. Okay, so now I will explain the uses of these three types of sensor. So for the first we have the light sensor. What is use of the light sensor? First we can use the light sensor in automatic street lighting. The second we can use the light sensor for witness controlling device, and the last we can use the light sensor for security system. Okay, now we go to the next example. The next we have example. The next we have motion sensor. You can use the motion sensor first to use in security alarm system. The second you can use the light sensor for automatic lighting control, and the last we can use the motion sensor for occupancy detection in buildings. For the last example, we have smoke detector. Detectors. You can use the detector first to provide an early warning system for fire. The second, you can use the smoke sensor for detecting smoke particles, and the last you can use to triggering an audible alarms. So I will show you the video about this content.
Well, there are two main types of smoke detectors available. Photoelectric detectors work by using a light sensing chamber. As smoke enters the chamber, it disrupts the path of a laser and triggers the alarm. These detectors are better at sensing slow burning or smoldering fires. Ionization detectors use two electrically charged plates to ionize the air in the sensor. When smoke enters the detector, it disrupts the flow of the ions and triggers the alarm. Ionization detectors are stronger at detecting fast flaming fires. However, due to their design, they can be triggered by dust or steam. A dual sensor detector includes both a photoelectric and ionization detector, offering the best smoke and fire protection.
next we have about the grammar used in the proposal is about noun clause. What is a noun clause? A noun clause is a dependent clause that functions as a noun in a sentence. Meaning it can be as the subject, object, or complement. Noun clause typically begin with the words like that, what, who, where, why, how, or if. For the formula, you can use the noun clause against the three words: propose, recommend, and suggest. For the first formula, you can use verb in. For the example, he propose, dealing directly with the suppliers. And for another example, you can use for the example, I recommend writing a finish down on paper. So for the next formula, we have that plus subject plus infinitive. For the example, the doctor recommended that I get more exercise. And another example, I suggest that you call him first. For the next formula, we have plus subject plus who, and plus infinitive. For the example, his mother suggested that she should go and see the doctor. For the last formula, you can use learn something to someone. For the example, I recommend this book to anyone with an interest in chemistry. Okay, you can watch this video, but you will not.
First of all, let's talk about suggest. When you give your opinion, you suggest something. You have an idea. And usually, you do not give exact variants. He suggested going out. As you can see, after suggest, you can use a gerund, going, with the ending ing. Or you can say, he suggested that we should go out. Here we use a clause, that we should go out, after the verb suggest. But make sure to use the verb should. Suggest that somebody should do something. When we deal with the verb offer, usually you give something to somebody and that person accepts it or doesn't. He offered me his help. As you can see, you can use a noun or a noun phrase after offer, or you can use an infinitive. He offered to help me. Do not use a gerund after offer and do not use a clause. Propose is connected with a plan. So usually there is a plan of action. It is a little bit narrower than suggest, but it is close to the verb suggest. My colleague proposed lowering the price. We can use a gerund after the verb propose. He proposed a boycott of the meeting. A noun can also be used after the verb propose. And we can also use a clause. He proposed that we should cut the meeting short.
We have a dialogue about this grammar. Does anyone want to have a dialogue with me? Okay. You will be Yusti and I will be Laila.
Okay.
So start. I'm very excited about the project we're going to do.
I feel excited too. I suggest discussing the project tomorrow.
That sounds great. But what if I have a sudden problem?
Then I suggest we discussing it the day after tomorrow.
Alright, see you again. See you again tomorrow and the day after. Thank you. So now we have in the next slide we have about the definition, but I will be not explaining this content, but my friend will explain. Jasmine, this is your turn.
Thank you, Nora. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Jasmine Aprilia. And now I will explain about subunit of Unit 9, namely definition and contract. But first, now I will explain the definitions. So, in sensor technology, a sensor is defined as a device that detects changes in physical, chemical, or biological conditions or motions and convert them into electrical signal or data that can be
measured and analyzed. There are three examples of sensor. The first one is color sensor. The color sensor is used to color detection and in sorting in industrial automation and also for scientific research. Next. The second example is a proximity sensor. This sensor is widely used for object detection, automatic lightning control, and safety systems. The next one is ultrasonic sensor. This sensor is used in distance measurement, level sensing, and parking assistance. Here's a video about sensors.
Motion sensors are everywhere in our daily lives. From automatic doors that open when you approach to security systems that alert us to unexpected activity, these devices are critical in creating convenience and enhancing safety. At their core, motion sensors detect changes in their environment and translate those changes into an action or alert. The fundamental principle of motion detection revolves around sensing variations in energy, whether it's light, sound, or heat. When a person or object moves within the sensor's range, it disrupts the baseline energy levels, signaling the sensor to activate. This process might sound straightforward, but the technology behind it is remarkably intricate, varying significantly depending on the type of sensor. There are several types of motion sensors, each designed to detect motion in unique ways. One of the most common types is the passive infrared sensor, or PIR sensor. PIR sensors work by detecting infrared radiation, which is a form of heat energy emitted by all living things. When you move within the sensor's field of view, the changes in infrared energy levels are registered, triggering the desired action, such as turning on a light or activating an alarm. PIR sensors are widely used because they are cost-effective, energy-efficient, and relatively simple to install. However, they have limitations, such as being less effective in detecting motion through obstacles or in extreme temperature environments.
The next is the grammar. The grammar is defining relative clauses. A defining relative clause provides essential defining information about a noun. These sentences are crucial. This information is crucial to the meaning of the sentence, and the clause is introduced by a relative pronoun like who, when, where, who, when, like. By a relative pronouns like who, which, that, when, and where. For the formula of a defining relative clause is noun plus relative pronouns plus verb. There are differences between a defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause. One of the differences is the defining relative clause use comma, while non-defining relative clause. Difference between defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause is a defining relative clause didn't use comma, while non-defining relative clause use comma. For example, sentences is a defining relative clause. My friend gave me his bike that has recently been purchased. And an example, a sentence for non-defining relative clause is my friend gave me his bike, which has recently been purchased. So there is no comma in defining relative clause. Here is a video about defining relative clause.
In this video, we will learn how to use subject-relative clauses. We use defining relative clauses to say exactly what people or things we are talking about. I like the woman who works in the coffee shop. If I don't say who works in the coffee shop, then we don't know which woman I mean. Sentences with relative clauses can be thought of a combination of two sentences and a shorter way of saying the same thing. For example, I like the woman. She works in the coffee shop. I like the woman who works in the coffee shop. We use who to refer to people. This is the woman who works in the library. We use which to refer to things. This is the website which has the best deals. That can be used to refer to people or things. I like people that are kind. Poker is a game that can be played for hours. Who, which, and that refer back to the person or thing the speaker is talking about. I have a friend who is very talkative. This is the robot which answers your questions. Brad Pitt is the actor that starred in the movie Fight Club. The verb in a subject-relative clause agrees with the noun in the main clause. I have a friend who loves studying English. I have some friends who love studying English. Let's look at some questions and answers. Do you have any English books which are easy to read? Here's a book which is easy to read. Did you find anyone who is right for the position? I interviewed someone who is perfect for the job.
There is the modifiers. There's the type of modifiers. The first one is pre-modifiers and the second one is post-modifiers. A formula for a pre-modifiers is modifiers plus noun. And the example sentence is, the modern control system improves efficiency. And the second one is post-modifiers. The formula is noun plus prepositional phrase. The example sentence is, in the workshop, the machine in the workshop is new. The next one is a dialogue. Anyone want to do a dialogue with me? I will be Yusti and you will be Taura. Have you seen the new temperature sensor that our company released last week?
Yes, I have. It's the device that detects even minor change in temperature very distinctly.
Exactly. It uses advanced infrared technology which helps it sense heat without direct contact.
I like its compact design with durable metal housing. It makes installation easier.
True, and the sensor, which operates in extreme environments, can also connect to wireless monitoring systems.
That's impressive. The code improves the smart industrial system we're developing.
Thank you. The next subunit is a contract. In construction or building project, a contract is a legally binding agreement between two or more parties that defines the terms, responsibilities, and conditions for completing the construction project. So there are three types of construction project. The first one is GMP or Guaranteed Maximum Price Contract. This contract is used when the owner wants cost transparency and cost ceiling. The advantages of this contract is that it provides maximum cost certainty and reduce financial risk for the owner. And the disadvantages that it is more complicated administration and cost tracking, and also possible disputes over allowable costs. The second contract is a lump sum contract. This contract lasts for competitive bidding and predictable work. The advantage is that it is high cost certainty from the beginning and also clear roles and responsibilities. The disadvantage is that it is limited flexibility and changes require additional cost. Next. The third contract is the time and materials contract. This contract is used for emergency works, repairs, and exploratory activities. The advantage is that this contract is a low immediate start before the design is complete. The disadvantage is that this contract is low cost certainty for the owner and also cost can escalate easily. Thanks. Here's a video about the contract.
Basic contract documents every construction contract must include. Contract management is an extensive process that leads from the initiation to the completion of a project. The main purpose of contract management is to make sure the objectives are met and the value is earned. Here we will talk about 9 basic contract documents every construction contract must include. 1. Contract agreement. A contract agreement defines the agreement between the client and the contractor in which the parties are specified and their responsibilities are defined in the construction process. 2. Scope of work definition. Scope of work should describe the project deliverables, and the statement of work. 3. General conditions. General conditions define all general terms and items such as utilities, vehicles, organizational structure, mobilization and demobilization. 4. Special conditions. Special conditions describe specific requirements and instructions for the work. 5. Bill of quantities. Bill of quantities is a document used for tendering that lists all work to allow the contractor to price the work for which he or she is bidding. 6. Work schedule. A work schedule shows site delivery date, start and finish milestones, project duration, and other useful information. 7. Drawings. Drawings illustrate quantities, locations, dimensions, sizes, shapes, and forms of the elements. 8. Technical specifications. Technical specifications describe the materials, workmanship, and equipment required for a task. 9. List of common types of construction insurance. Construction insurance provides coverage for material, risks, natural disasters, employees.
The next one is the grammar. The grammar is an if clause. An if clause or a conditional clause is a subordinate clause that expresses a condition. These sentences are used to talk about hypothetical situations and their possible outcomes, with different types of if clauses describing varying degrees of likelihood. Here, the formula for an if clause is, the first one is on condition that. The formula is make clause plus on condition that plus subject plus verbs plus object. The example sentences is, you can access the laboratory on condition that you wear safety equipment. And the second one is provided that. The formula is make clause plus provided that plus subject plus verbs plus object. The example sentence is, the engine will run smoothly provided that the oil level is maintained. Here is a video about the if clause.
Why use an alternative? What's wrong with if? Well, for day-to-day spoken English, if is fine. But sometimes we like to change the way we express ourselves, and alternatives to if allow us to do that. When you water a plant, it grows. Unless you water a plant, it dies. When and unless can be used as alternatives to if and if not. When is interchangeable with if. It means exactly the same. But it's important to remember that unless means if not. For example, unless I drink a coffee in the morning, I feel tired. And that means the same as if I don't drink coffee in the morning, I feel tired. As long as can be used instead of if to add emphasis that the if clause needs to happen for the result to happen. Even if I won the lottery, I would not quit my job. We can use even if in conditionals to emphasize strongly that if an action happened, the result would not change. The result would be the same as if the action had not happened. Had we lived 5,000 years ago, we would have hunted with spears. We can use had as an alternative to if, but the structure of the sentence changes slightly. Instead of if plus subject plus had, we can say had plus subject. So, had that rock fallen on you, it would have killed you, means the same as if that rock had fallen on you, it would have killed you.
The next is dialogue. you received the new work contract from HR?
Yes, I have. They said I will get a salary increase and condition that complete the leadership training next month.
That's great. I also heard that employees can work remotely provided that their performance stays consistent.
Really? That sounds fair. I'd love to work from home a few days a week, provided that my manager agrees.
Same here. The new policy actually seems quite flexible on condition that everyone follows the company's productivity guidelines.
Thank you.
The next unit will be continued by Before I continue the explanation, I will introduce myself. My name is Yustina Fitri Ramadhani and I will explain about plants. Plant in destructive testing. Earthquake proving is the title set of step, design, and procedure that outline how a structure or material will be intentionally pushed to the point of failure to evaluate its earthquake resistance. For the example is seismic vibration control. Here the explanation of seismic vibration control. The advantages is reduced structural damage and disadvantages is additional cost and complexity. For the second example is deep foundation system. Here the explanation about deep foundation system. The advantages is provide strong support in weak soil condition, and disadvantages is high construction cost. The third example is seismic isolation system. Here the explanation of seismic isolation system. Advantages is significantly reduce seismic force on the building. Disadvantages is higher initial cost. The next is video.
When testing products or materials, there are two broad categories of tests: destructive testing and non-destructive testing. What is destructive testing? As the name suggests, destructive testing is a type of testing that involves damaging or destroying the product or material being tested to observe its behavior under extreme conditions. This type of testing is often used to understand the limits of a material's strength, durability, and other mechanical properties. Destructive testing is typically conducted on a sample or prototype of the product or material. The sample is subjected to a load, pressure, or other extreme conditions until it fails. The data collected during this process is then used to determine the material's strength, elasticity, and other properties. Some of the most common destructive testing methods include tensile testing, compression testing, bend test, macro test, impact testing, fatigue testing, and hardness testing. Tensile testing involves applying a force to a sample until it breaks, while compression testing involves applying pressure to the sample until it deforms or fails. Impact testing is used to measure the toughness of a material by striking it with a weighted pendulum. Hardness testing measures the resistance of a material to deformation. While destructive testing provides accurate data on a material's properties, it is not without its drawbacks. Since it destroys the sample, it is often not practical for use on expensive or rare materials. Additionally, destructive testing can only be conducted once, making it difficult to retest materials.
The next is grammar. The grammar is noun or hyphenated phrase used as pre-modifier. Noun used as pre-modifier. A noun can function as an adjective when it appears before another noun. This is called a noun modifier or noun pre-modifier. The formula is subject plus modifier nouns plus head nouns. For the example is, noun modifier is data, head noun is analysis. For the example is data analysis system. Hyphenated phrases used as pre-modifiers. Sometimes we use two or more words joined with hyphens before nouns. This is a coupled adjective or hyphenated pre-modifiers. Formula is subject plus modifier 1, modifier 2 plus head noun. For the example is, hyphenated phrase is high speed. Head noun is train. For the example sentence is, Japan has high-speed trains. Next, the video.
There are two types of modifiers. One, pre-modifier, post modifier. 1. A modifier which precedes a noun is called pre-modifier. Example, a blooming flower. Various types and uses of pre-modifiers. There are different types of pre-modifiers. 1. Determiners as pre-modifiers. The boys and girls are walking side by side. 2. Predeterminers as pre-modifiers. All the boys are present in the class. 3. Present participle, ing participle as pre-modifiers. A darkening sky may bring showers. 4. Past participle, ed or en participle as pre-modifiers. The injured cat is limping. 5. Adjectives as pre-modifiers. A lazy man cannot be an early riser. 6. Noun for a noun modifier. The school inspector came on a surprise visit. 7. Nominal compound as pre-modifiers. She is a record-breaking typist. Noun modifiers and head nouns. Now we see a noun may be modified by 1. The words before the head noun, pre-modifiers. 2. The words after the head noun, post-modifiers. Nominal group or noun cluster. The whole group of words having the head noun with its modifier or modifiers is called a nominal group or a noun cluster. All those tall, noun cluster is girls, remaining part, with long hair, danced in a big hall. Here, girls is head noun with pre-modifier, all those tall is noun cluster and post-modifier, with long hair, danced in a big hall is remaining part.
The next is dialogue. Is anyone dialogue with me? I will be Naila and you will be Yusti. Is that okay? Yes. Hey Yusti, have you finished analyzing the earthquake resistant structure result yet?
Yes, I have. The high-rise building performed quite well under the shake table test.
That's great. How did the concrete-based material react during the intense seismic activity?
Surprisingly well. The steel reinforced foundation held up even during the extreme force simulation.
Good to hear. I think we should focus on improve the seismic load capacity for the next round of large-scale testing. Thank you. For the next is report. Report in building and bridge testing is official written document that record the test, procedure, measurement, result, and conclusion about the safety and performance of the structure. For the example is seismic composite wall. Here the explanation about seismic composite wall. Advantages is has a smaller thickness and weight compared to traditional reinforced concrete walls. And disadvantages is requires careful construction and connecting detailing. For the second example is reinforced wall. Advantages is improved tensile, strength, and ductility compared to plain concrete walls. Disadvantages is heavier than composite walls. For the last example is shear walls. Advantages is effective in controlling lateral displacement type. Disadvantages is can limit architectural design flexibility. Next, the video.
Japanese researchers conducted an earthquake simulation on a 10-story concrete structure on the 11th of December, with the aim of improving earthquake management strategies. At 27.45 meters high, it's the tallest concrete building ever to be tested in an earthquake simulation. Researchers at the National Research Institute for Earth Science and Disaster Prevention said they used the largest shake table in Japan, measuring 15 by 20 meters, to subject the building to the equivalent of a 7.3 magnitude earthquake. The 1,000-ton structure shook violently, but remained standing, with the fourth floor sustaining the greatest amount of damage. Researchers found fallen debris and several cracks, with weaknesses concentrated around where the pillars meet the girders supporting the floor. NIED aims to use its research to implement disaster prevention measures in public institutions and increase preparedness for future earthquakes. The simulation took place at the eDefense three-dimensional full-scale earthquake testing facility in Kobe, which investigates why and how structures collapse.
The next part will be continued by Cora.
So now we have the last content in the unit 10 is about about methods. What is a method? Testing methods are systematic ways to examine material or product performance. For example, destructive versus non-destructive testing. The method focus on collaborative problem-solving language. For the example, first we have ultrasonic testing or UG. We can use the ultrasonic testing for the first. You can use to instantly for flow detection in wells. The second, you can use the ultrasonic testing for corrosion monitoring. So the second example, we have radiographic testing or RT. So you can use the radiographic testing for the first. You can use to commonly use for wall expansion, and you can use to testing inspection. For the last example, we have magnetic flux leakage. You can use the magnetic flux leakage for when we use to inspect high planes, and the last we can use to structural steel formation, painting or paint. So I have the video about this content.
Hello and welcome to our overview of non-destructive testing and its methods and uses. Testing is a critical part of equipment maintenance. All testing methods fall under one of two categories: destructive testing and non-destructive testing. Non-destructive testing, on the other hand, is carried out without causing damage to the tested piece of equipment. The purpose of non-destructive testing is to assess an item's condition and performance quality while keeping the item in operating condition. The advantage of non-destructive testing is the ability to reuse the tested components or test on components still in operation. This allows organizations to gain all the benefits of regular testing with minimal waste. Uses various principles from scientific fields like physics, chemistry, and mathematics to test components individually or collectively. A wide range of industries use non-destructive testing due to the versatility and variety of testing methods. Let's review some of the most commonly used methods. Visual inspections are when equipment is inspected visually, sometimes with robots or drones fitted with cameras to assess their condition. Ultrasonic testing passes sound waves through a component to detect flaws and determine measurements. Vibration analysis measures vibration signatures to identify faults or abnormalities in rotating parts. Penetrant or magnetic particle testing is when liquids or magnetic particles are applied to a component where they gather near defects and cracks to highlight faults. Eddy current testing applies an electrical current to coils in order to measure consumption and identify anomalies. X-ray inspection and industrial computed tomography are used to generate detailed images of a component's interior to find faults and defects.
For the presentation is ended. Before I close this presentation, does anyone have a question?
My name is Mokin and I have some question. So the question is, can you explain how defending relative clause different from non-defending one in both meaning and punctuation?
Thank you. I give you a question. Another one?
My name is Maulida Marquez. So my question is, why are testing reports important in building and bridge projects?
I give you a question. Another one?
So my question is, what are the two main types of pre-modifiers discussed in this slide? And what part of speech can a noun function as when it acts as a pre-modifier? For the first question is, explain how defining relative clauses differ from non-defining ones in both meaning and punctuation. The answer is, defining clauses give essential information and use no commas, while non-defining clauses add extra information and requires commas.
Thank you for that.
Oh, no, you have my answer. Ginanda, I will answer your question. So the question is, explain how defining relative clauses differ from non-defining ones in both meaning and punctuation. So the answer is, defining clauses give essential information and use no commas, while non-defining relative clauses add extra information and requires comma. Do you agree with my answer?
Yes, I agree. Thank you for answering.
Now I will answer one question from Ratu. The question is about why are testing reports important in building and bridge projects? The answer is they are important because they provide evidence that the structure is safety standards, design specifications, and regulatory requirements before it is used by the public. Do you agree with my answer?
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
My question.
Okay, next I will answer a question from Fatia. The question is, what are the two main types of or pre-modifier discussed in this slide? And what part of speech can a noun function as when it acts a pre-modifier? The answer is the two main types are nouns used as pre-modifier, called a noun modifier or noun pre-modifier, and hypernetic phrases used as pre-modifier, called a compound adjective or hypernetic pre-modifier. A noun can function as an adjective when it appears before another noun. Is that agree with my answer? Absolutely. Thank you.
To conclude, I hope this presentation gives you powerful insight. Thank you for attention and question. Let's continue go and learn together. Once again, thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi